Welcome back to the ArcGIS online tutorials based on the manual for river floods in Armagh. This is exercise 3, tutorial 1. What we're going to learn in this tutorial is the locations of the fire stations around the Northern Ireland, as well as where they are in Armagh and Keady. How far the emergency services will reach in 6 minutes, and also the issues surrounding the use of a buffer or a straight line buffer in the measurement of distance. So if we were to log in again and you would be on your profile, click on my content. From the last tutorial you saved a version of my map, and I just want you to continue on from that part. So what you would do is, this would be your version, only it would have dash and then your name. Click on the little drop down box and I want you to click on open in map viewer. Yes, I didn't save mine the last time, that's why this is appearing, but just click yes, open the map. So it'll just begin to open up the map for you with all of the data. It's just taking a little while to load. So I don't think I stated this part of the tutorial is going to be based on the short-term, this part of the exercise is going to be based on the short-term response of emergency services to flooding. So as you can see, like, my map has now opened, and it was as it was when we first opened the map in exercise 2. This is just because I didn't save the changes of my map last time. You will have saved yours, so yours will open on our last extent of Armagh. So what I would have wanted you to do then was to turn off the historical flood extent layer, turn off the historical flood photos layer, and turn off the 100 metre river buffer layer. And then I would want you to then turn on I'm just turning off all of the layers that I haven't done before. I would want you to turn on the 5,000 metre fire station buffer. So it's the third data set of the contents, so just click that on. So we see a big massive yellow thing appears. What I want you to do is zoom out a bit, and just zoom out so that you can see the majority of Northern Ireland. Just keep zooming. Oh, I zoomed out a little too far. So we can see, like, all the little fire stations are represented by fire engines, and they look slightly yellow, but if we zoom into a certain extent we can then see a big yellow circle around them all. So really this is just a little buffer layer, straight line buffer layer, and what it shows is what we're trying to show is how far you could get in 5,000 metres, or how long it would take you to get 5,000 metres using this buffer. So because the buffer is 5,000 metres in every direction, and we're assuming that the fire station, the fire engine, could drive at around 30 miles per hour. 5,000 metres is equal to around 3 miles, and the fire services, the emergency services, can travel at 30 miles per hour during an emergency. So using speed equals distance over time, rearranging the equation time equals distance divided by speed, we really would calculate how long it would take for the emergency services to get to the edge of the buffer. And it takes around 6.5 minutes. So really what this buffer is saying is that the emergency services can get to the very edge of this buffer in any direction based around this in 6.5 minutes or so. Really the question is, do you think that this is an accurate representation of a buffer or of speed equals distance over time? Do you think that the fire station could get to the edge of this buffer in 6.5 minutes or not? If we even just look at the Armagh one, essentially what it's trying to say is that this fire station could get to anywhere around here in 6.5 minutes. It's the same if we look at Keady. Keady and Armagh are almost touching. So really it's essentially trying to say that they could get anywhere within this buffer in 6.5 minutes. It isn't the most accurate representation of travel, because it's straight line travel. That would be more like if something like a helicopter and there was no speed limit, there was no and there was no traffic lights, and there was nothing really stopping them. It's just straight line. But the difference is that a buffer doesn't take into account the roads and the speed limits, and it doesn't take into account traffic lights, or if it's allowed to do U-turns or anything like that. So it is an accurate representation. It's a good representation of something, but it is not the most accurate representation of how fast you can get to somewhere based on a speed limit.